Okay, we're just going to wait a few minutes for the Zoom class to start so you can look at my beautiful wall.
Recording in progress. What would you say? He said, you should be blessed. He got another chazak uba. Recording stopped. Can you hear and see us? He smiled. I don't know. Are you hearing us?
I can hear you and I can see you. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Okay. Let's first of all say the shir in the zchus and in the memory of Chana Kedar's
Recording in progress.
Okay, we'll say that again. In the zchus of Chana Kedar's husband, he should have an aliyas neshama, and it should be a zchus for him.
The name is Shimon ben Eliyahu.
Shimon ben Eliyahu should have an aliyas neshama and come back soon. Come back sooner than soon. Ezrat Hashem. Okay. Anybody have any inside information about a war happening the next few days? Anyone know? No? Yeah, I have a student whose brother is he's a reserves commander training. He trains commanders. Anyway, so I sent a message today through her to him saying, are we going to have a war? I just have to know my Shabbos plans. He said, nope, we don't know anything. Because every minute, that's what he said, something interesting. He said, every minute people are changing sides. And they don't know who's on whose side. Like, who is on the negotiating side, who's on the... He said, every minute it keeps changing, so he can't keep up with it. So he's only going to, he says what he said, he's only going to analyze it after it happened. He'll be able to figure it out. But right now, the chachila, he can't figure out what's going to be. Okay. So I guess we're going to all be in suspense. We just know that Hashem is playing like yo-yo with us. That's how I feel. It's like almost and up and down, and almost go down and up and down. Like, remember yo-yos? You can only speak to this generation about yo-yos. I don't know if little kids know about it, except maybe in Israel they play yo-yo. It goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Every day there's another, there is negotiations, there's not negotiations. They already broke the negotiations. They sent a drone, they shot down the drone. How could they send the drone? We're going to have negotiations, blowing up, trying to blow up stuff. It's a game, right? It's literally a game, and Hashem is playing the game with us. But we know the end of this. We know the end. The end is that Esav conquers Yishmael, and Edom conquers Paras. And the Edom that's fighting with Paras right now is the Edom, the good Edom that likes us and that's going to help us. So we know there's a good ending. That's why we're so impatient. It's not like we're worried. We're just impatient. Like, let's get the story ready so we can have Mashiach. We can have the Geula. And everybody knows that we have the ending is good. We just have to get to the ending. So let's hope we're at the end. Everything is parallel to everything else. So here in Har Nof, the beloved water company and the beloved construction people and the beloved Mo'atza, like the council, they decided to fix our water pipes after they had fixed it already, but somehow it needs fixing again. And they closed off one of the streets, and it affects all the buses here. And so yesterday I was, and they said it was supposed to be finished for sure. They're opening the new buses, the regular buses on Tu B'Shvat, which didn't happen. And so yesterday I was in one of the stores that borders the street that's being affected. And I asked the storekeeper, did they at least come in and tell you like when this work is going to be over? He said, yeah, they came in 2 weeks ago and they said it's going to be finished last week. So that didn't happen. So that's exactly what's happening in the world with Iran. Like, it's going to be finished today, it'll be finished tomorrow, it was finished last week, it's still not finished. You still have to take the bus route that goes around. You still have to walk half a mile to wherever you have to go. That's what we're doing in Har Nof, and that's what's happening in the world. And Hashem is giving us extra time. I really keep getting nervous about this part personally, that I'm not utilizing the extra time I'm not maximizing it. I'm not maximizing this extra time, because you know that once a war starts, then we're in a different mindset. We don't have so much Yishuv Adas. You have to always be listening for all kinds of noises and stuff. So now we have Yishuv Adas, and it's a gorgeous day today here in Eretz Israel. So let's try to, I'm asking Hashem to please help me and you and whoever wants this tefillah to maximize this time. That it's still quiet and that we can still do tshuva. We can say, I'm sorry. We can start, going through our memories and getting rid of another negative aspect and asking Hashem to help us to love every Jew and all that stuff. Okay, this is Parshas Yisro. This is my birthday Parsha. My birthday comes out this year on Shabbos, 20 days in Shvat. And I have students who every year, I have a few students who email me, because one student, her birthday is 19 days in Shvat. One student, her birthday is also 20 days in Shvat. And I have a few English birthday similarities to a whole bunch of my students. So that's how people remember, because it's their same birthday. So I want to give you a blessing now that you should have the power to maximize your soul, even though it's not yet my birthday, but it's still the week of. We should maximize all of our life's potentials and have endless gratitude to Hashem for all the blessings that we have, and have endless energy to keep praying for the things that we still want, and have endless desire to come closer to God, and to have and to fulfill our part in the Geula, and to have nachas from your family and from Parnasa. You should be healthy and happy and strong and have stamina and all the things, all the amenities that you need in your life, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, intellectual. You should all be supplied with all of those things. And really, we should all have a shir in the old city and by David HaMelech. I promised my Thursday Tehillim shir that we'll have a Tehillim shir by David HaMelech. And we'll have this Parsha shir also either by David HaMelech or at the bottom if there's any room, because all the people are going to be running to the old city. We'll come and then we'll have that shir, and Hashem should give everybody strength. And really, we should all live to see this Geula, and we should be Mamlech Hashem. We should make Hashem the king, and we should stop machlokas. We should only have shalom beinenu, and we should only have peace beinenu, and wish each other well, and not want what we shouldn't want, and want what we do have, and have what we want. And Bezrat Hashem, we should see Melech HaMashiach redeeming us and making us understand what the truth and the emes is, and we should follow with that truth and that emes. Amen v'amen to all the listeners, and to everybody who does listen. Whatever, the bracha of a hediot says, the bracha of a simple person is very powerful also. So that was my bracha to you, my birthday bracha. Okay. We're learning now, so this is a Parsha of Yisro, and it's a Parsha of the Ten Commandments, and so we're going to focus today on Shabbos, on the bracha on the mitzvah of Shabbos, of Shabbat. Shabbos is one of those mitzvot that includes all the mitzvot of the Torah, and it says that if you keep Shabbos, it's like you're keeping all the mitzvot of the Torah. And so we're learning the Pri Tzaddik this year, Bezrat Hashem Sofer. We made it through the whole book of Bereshis and the beginning of the book of Shmos. Let's hope we can keep it up, because the Pri Tzaddik is not an easy sefer at all to learn. Tzaddik HaKohen from Lublin, whose birthday is also in Shvat. Either his birthday or his yahrzeit, I forget. Shvat's a very, very packed month. Rabbi Reb Zusha, his yahrzeit's in Shvat. Lots of tzaddikim, lots of born in the next world. It's a good month. It's a month when Moshe Rabbeinu began to repeat the whole Torah. Mishnah Torah, the book of Devarim, when Moshe Rabbeinu begins the whole Torah, begins to repeat the whole Torah. Does it on Aleph Shvat. Okay, be quiet. This somehow is trying to talk to me. I don't want it to talk. Okay. I hope you can still hear me on the computer. And let's learn a little bit about Shabbos. So this is in the Pri Tzaddik. This is teaching in Parshas Yisro. And this is teaching number 10, Yud. And here I'm going to read to you. HaShabbat hanitzan liYisrael, echad l'zayin yamin, me'orer b'lev ha'adam b'chol Shabbat cheshek chadash liktushato yitbarach. I just want to read that line to you. It was so beautifully written. Shabbos, the mitzvah of Shabbos, of the Sabbath, that's given to the Jewish people once every 7 days. We keep Shabbos, right? We have Shabbos, and that mitzvah of Shabbos wakes up in every single person every Shabbos this desire, a brand new desire to come close to Hashem and to be holy and to be truthful and to be real. The mitzvah of Shabbos and Shabbos itself that we get once a week. It wakes up in us a desire, a brand new desire every single week to start all over again and to come close to Hashem. It's actually the 7th day of the week. It's not like the beginning of the week. You might think the beginning of the week, okay, I'm starting fresh. It's like the beginning of the day. You have koach, for those of you who are morning people. But this is the 7th day of the week. It's the last day of the week. And on this 7th day of the week, the Rebbe here says that we get this brand new desire for closeness to God. And he explains, why is that? Why isn't it the first day of the week that we have this new desire? Because we had 6 days of working and not completely being able to devote ourselves to learning Torah. Because we have to do things, right? We have to go to work, we have to cook, we have to clean, we have to do laundry, we have to communicate with people on the telephones and all of that. We have 6 days of that. And on a certain level, those 6 days, except for the people who are the real tzaddikim, who every second of their day is like Shabbos, right? And we're waiting for that because Olam Haba is going to be Yom Shekulo Shabbat. When Mashiach comes and then Olam Haba comes, and then it's going to be like a total ability to devote ourselves and dedicate ourselves to holiness and to things that are eternal. But right now we're doing 6 days of the week. Every 6 days of the week we get stuck in the non-eternal stuff. Therefore, the Yom HaMenucha mit'orer ha'cheshek להתקרב לקדושה. On Shabbos, on that day, when we're finally released from prison, every single Shabbos, we're released from the need to deal with this world. And we're given the opportunity to go into a place of holiness and of connection to God. And because of that, the second that we have that relief and release, we have this desire, something wakes up in us. Some people feel it and some people don't feel it. Or some people feel it and they understand what we just learned. And some people, they feel something, but they don't know, they don't have the ability to identify what is that feeling that I'm feeling. And so they say, oh, we're tired. It's such a good relief to sit down finally. You jump, you sit down by the candles, and after you light them, you just, you plop down on whatever is closest to you to sit on. Some people misidentify it and say, okay, I didn't eat all day because I was cooking all day. Now we're hungry. Let's get the Suda started. People misidentify sometimes the feeling that they're having, but the tzaddik is revealing to us, the pre tzaddik is revealing to us that feeling that you have when Shabbos comes in, whether it's by candlelighting, by lich benching, or whether it's in shul for the men, or whether it's when the wife lights candles and the family takes upon themselves Shabbos, whatever it is, that feeling that you have, he explains it is a desire to come close to God. That's what that feeling is. Don't misidentify. Now he gives us a chiddush. This is such a chiddush. He says, that every Shabbos we get something called a neshama yetera, an extra level of soul, an extra level of soulfulness. And the Rebbe explains that that's a different soul every single week. It's not like, oh, this is my neshama yetera from last week, and I recognize you and hi, welcome back. Every single week, he says, we get a brand new neshama. V'haneshama yetera gam ken chadasha b'chol Shabbat. This is neshama yetera, not just Shabbos is new, but the extra special dimension of holiness that you get in your soul. They call it an extra level soul, an extra perception of your soul. It's new. Hashem wants this so much. Hashem wants us every single week, really every single day, really every single minute, but Hashem is more practical. He knows what our capabilities and capacity is. Hashem wants us to have this renewal of love for Him, a renewal of wanting Him, of wanting to learn Torah, of wanting to daven, of wanting to sing praises and zmirah to Him, of wanting to dedicate our physicality and elevate our physicality. Hashem wants us to have that brand new, every single week. It's a very big, gives big pleasure to Hashem. It's like when the little kids, could you imagine, let's say every single night you give your children the same thing for supper. And let's say they're little kids. And let's say you have one child. Every single night they get excited. Wow, meatballs and spaghetti. The next night, wow, meatballs and spaghetti. Wow, meatballs and spaghetti. Every night they give you like this big wow, like I'm so excited. You would think they would get tired of it. No, they every single week, every single day, they feel like this brand new, a new meatballs and spaghetti. Hashem says, I want you to have a new Shabbos every single week and say, whoa, it's Shabbos again. It's not like last Shabbos. It's not like next Shabbos. It's not like any Shabbos. It's a brand new Shabbos. And I get a brand new inspiration. My neshama yetera is brand new. That's why it's always good when you have something, when you buy something, always wait for Shabbos to lechadesh it. Let's say you buy anything during the week, whatever it is. You buy, I'm talking about clothing or accessories or shoes or a book, whatever you buy for yourself or acquire for yourself new during the week. Don't eat it right away. Don't see it right away. Don't use it right away. Wait till Shabbos. And lechadesh it and use it banayit, make it new on Shabbos. I remember years and years ago, the first time I read the Rabbi Nachman stories. And of course, I read it, the first story is The Lost Princess. And I remember the first time I read The Lost Princess, I can't tell you how much pleasure I got. And every word I read, and then I reread it, and then reread it. It was so geschmack, it was so delicious. And of course, Rabbi Nachman's bracha was working with anybody who reads that book, or any of the stories, is that you get thoughts into your head. You start interpreting, oh, this sounds like when this happened to me, and that sounds like when that happened to them. And you begin to interpret it in your reading of it. So I remember I didn't know what to do with myself. In terms of how am I going to contain this? It was so delicious. And I said, okay, and I was so anxious to see the end of it, to read it. I was reading it and rereading it. And I left the last few pages for Shabbos. I can't imagine how much I wanted to read it. I said, no. This I'm waiting for Shabbos. I began reading it not on Shabbos. I didn't realize it would be such a big hashpa'ah on me, have such a big influence on me. But when I realized it and I said, okay, I'm putting this aside for Shabbos, and I finished it on Shabbos. And I want to tell you something. He's going to say later on And but there's nothing like the first time that you learn something that's powerful, that's like attached to your soul. If it's something that's not attached to your soul, you might not necessarily be such a experience. But if it's something that's attached to your soul, the first time you read it and you get blown away, there's nothing like that. Even if you learn the same thing a million times, he's going to say that about Shabbos also. Um, okay, let's go. ומהחשק החדש משיג האדם התחדשות בדברי Torah. When you have this every single Shabbos, you have this brand new Neshama Yetzera, Neshama Yetzera, then it wakes up in you a desire to lechadesh, to start something new, start a new project, start learning something new. I want to tell you something in general. If you're during the week, again, because it's 6 days of the week, we're in slavery. We have to do all the things that we have to do, including, okay, this is the learning of it's a shear. It's like a semi-lifting of the slavery. And also today's Wednesday. Wednesday is always the beginning of the preparations for the upcoming Shabbos. But during the week, we're busy. And sometimes you have to look something up, or you want to learn something, or you listen to a divine story and you don't quite understand it. If you want to understand something and it's hard for you to understand, relearn it again on Shabbos. Because Shabbos, your mind opens, your heart opens, your soul is deeper, your perception is deeper, and you can understand something. And by the way, if you want to try this as an experiment, learn something on Shabbos, and then try to learn that same thing during the week. You'll see that your dimensions of understanding is so different. On Shabbos, it's a whole different experience. And here's what he says: "V'shamati b'Hashem Baal Shem Tov," and the Reb Tzadok says that he heard in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, Zecher Tzaddik v'Kadosh Livracha, שהצדיקים משתוקקים להרגיש החשק. The Baal Shem Tov said that what did tzaddikim want in their life? Tzaddikim, they don't want, like, it doesn't matter to them. A lot of things that matter to us doesn't matter to them. Things that are important to us is not always primary importance or desire for a tzaddik. What does a tzaddik want? One of the categories of things that a tzaddik wants is, listen to this, להרגיש החשק שמרגישים אחרי השנים הבאים פעם ראשון להתאבק בחסידות. He says a tzaddik wishes that they could feel that same awe and pleasure and shock and I don't know what other words to use, the same feelings that a person feels the first time they read The Lost Princess, or the first time they come to Hasidut, the first time they come to a teaching in the Torah that's attached to their soul. That feeling that you have, that awesome, amazing sweetness, that's what tzaddikim want. I wish I could feel the same thing again. And of course, tzaddikim, when they want to feel things, I'm sure Hashem accommodates them, but that's what righteous people want. They want to feel that first time, that feeling of how it was. And my students, I told you that years and years ago, I have a student, Moshe. He should be blessed. He and his wife and children, they should be blessed. He used to come back he was a student of mine at Ezra Academy. And he used to come back every year, I think it was Parsha Lech Lecha, and he would bring like a whole kibbutz. He would bring cookies and stuff like that, because that was the first Parsha that he kept, that was the first Shabbos that he kept. I think it was Parsha Lech Lecha. If his wife, Chana, if she hears this, correct me if I'm wrong. So he used to come every year back to the school that he learned about Shabbos to say thank you and to give everybody something to eat, make a bracha, in honor of the first Shabbos that he kept. Now, in those days, I'm very strict with what I eat now also, but in those days I was even super duper much more strict. And but he would give me a cookie and he would say, make a bracha, and I would make a bracha, make a bite, and take a taste of that, horribly full of margarine and sugar and whatever, who knows what else was in there. But to honor the fact that he remembers the first Shabbos that he kept, and he honors it. And that first Shabbos that you keep, you all know that, okay, so if you're Shomer Shabbos your whole life, you don't remember the first Shabbos that you kept because it was when you were a baby, because you always kept Shabbos. But people who are Balei Tshuva and they remember the first Shabbos that they kept, that feeling of wow, accomplishment and awesomeness and connection and pride and holiness. The tzaddikim want that. They want to have those feelings. When they just say regular, Mariv in the middle of a Tuesday or Wednesday and in the middle of the year, it's like us saying we want the same feeling that the tzaddikim have on Yom Kippur. That's the tzaddikim want that same feeling on a Wednesday in the middle of not a particularly particular time. והיינו, כי בהתחדשות הדבר הוא התעוררות החשק הגדול, ואז הוא תואם המתיקות בעמקי הלב. When you do something for the first time, whatever it is, that's good. Of course, if you do a sin for the first time, it's a problem. Because then eventually it becomes, the Gemara says, if you do something wrong the first time, you feel terrible, horrible, no words. And then if Chas Hashem, you do it again, a person does it again, they feel horrible, but a little bit less. And then the third time it becomes less, until you finally, a person could finally get used to doing horrible things. But we don't want to talk about that. We do only good things. But the first time you feel you do something special, a mitzvah, whatever, that hitchadshut, that feeling of novelty, of newness, of the first time I'm doing this, that is so sweet, the Rebbe says, and that's why Hashem made Shabbos only once a week. ועל זה ניתן השבת, שאז מרגישים חיות חדש, because Shabbos is only once a week, and you feel that new life force. It's a new life force. The Hanashama Yitera Nikra Shabbos. And the Neshama Yitera is called Shabbos, and it's called Shabbos Kala. Right? The Neshama Yitera, one of the many different names for the Neshama Yitera, for that extra special soul that gets attached to us. And by the way, that extra, you could have a Neshama Yitera during the week also. Did you know that? It's not the Shabbos Neshama Yitera, but let's just say that you do a mitzvah. You can have an Ibur Neshama. This is a really big gift from Hashem. And you don't have to be young. You could be old as anything. And Ibur Neshama means, let's say you, I don't know. Let's say I'll give a simple one that doesn't. Let's say you listen to your mother. Okay, this is for the young ones here. Our mothers, many of our mothers already in the world of truth, they should have a good Gan Eden, all of them, and have nachas from us. But let's say you're young and you listen to your mother, even though you think she's wrong, or even though it goes against your better judgments, or even though it's hard, you listen to your mother. You do it anyway, and you do it at night, you do it. Guess what? You just did the same thing that Yaakov Avinu did when he listened to his mother, Rivki Imenu. She gave him advice and she told him what she wanted him to do, and he was against his better judgment and he didn't want to, and he did it anyway. It could be that you will get temporarily a feeling of awesome holiness because the soul of our grandfather, of Yaakov Avinu, of Jacob, our grandfather, actually attaches to you. You can get that during any time. Doesn't have to be Shabbos. Anytime. Or let's say you mention a certain tzaddik, right? You don't even do a mitzvah that tzaddik did, but you just say his name. It could be that tzaddik is roaming around, his soul is roaming around, and at that particular second, you're the one who said his name. So he'll attach himself to you. He'll just give you a hug spiritually. And all of a sudden you feel clarity and you feel strength and energy and determination. It's because you just got a pep talk or an infusion, like they say here, an infusion of holiness of the soul of a tzaddik. You can get that all the time during the week. But on Shabbos, everybody gets in that. The Shabbat is called Shabbos Kala. Ubechol Shabbat Nikret Kala. And this Kala, every single week, is called a Shabbos Kala. And guess what? You're never a Kala. You're a Kala one time in your life. You're a Kala, hopefully. So every single week when we say it's a Shabbos Kala, last week she was a Kala. Now it's a new Kala. This week is a new Kala because every week is a different Kala. And a Kala is only a Kala one time. In case b'chol Shabbat nishmatin chadatin, every single Shabbos you get a brand new neshama. Ve'eno otan neshama yisera the Shabbos shavar, and it's not the same neshama yisera as last week. And therefore, if it's something new, Hashem is giving us something new, a brand new neshama. And therefore, we have the ability to experience Shabbos in a brand new way. Even if it's the same Shabbos and the same menu and the same shul and the same everything, the same tefillot, and you know, all of those things are oftentimes same old, same old. There are some people, Yerushalmim, they had the same menu for Shabbos that they've had for generations and generations. And I told you many times that the first time that I grew up, when I was younger, and I remember I made broccoli kugel for Shabbos. I wanted to like help in the kitchen. My kitchen when I was younger was so tiny that 2 people could barely fit in and 3 people couldn't. And there was no table and there was just tiny, tiny. Um, so for me to, extra, and I used to cook a lot, but I decided I'm going to make broccoli kugel. I saw the recipe, and broccoli became kosher, so I made broccoli kugel. And my father was like in shock. He says, "That's not Shabbos stick. You can't eat that on Shabbos," because by us, Shabbos food was always the same, always the same. And if sometimes my mother would cut in an extra vegetable into the salad, my father would like pick up an eyebrow, like, "What's this?" So okay, eventually they got the hang of it, and we did have new things for Shabbos. But Shabbos usually could oftentimes be same old, and yet the Rebbe is saying to us, it's our job to find something chadash, something brand new on Shabbos. By the way, that's why we have a new parsha. Everything. One of the reasons we have, not one of the reasons, but one of the ways that we can use this is by learning the parsha. Every Shabbos is a brand new, different parsha. We never learn the same parsha from Shabbos to Shabbos, and there's always chidushim in the parsha. V'nei b'parsha this parsha we have the pasuk. Bayom hazeh ba'u midbar Sinai. This day we came to the Sinai desert. That's in this week's parsha. And Rashi says, Mahu bayom hazeh. What does it mean on that day? What does it mean on that day that came? We don't know the dates, or even if we do, we don't celebrate that date that we entered into Midbar Sinai, because we had to then wait and do the preparations for the receiving of the Torah. It wasn't that we came to Midbar Sinai, the Sinai desert, the day we got the Torah. So so Rashi says, why is it? What is the significance of these words on that day? And he answers, Shayu divrei Torah chadashim alacha ki'ilu hayom natnu. And that's a medrash. He says that the idea of on that day means every single day, the Torah should be brand new, as if we just received it today. As if, sometimes when one of the biggest gifts Hashem ever gave me is that my life's work has been teaching women Torah and teaching Baalei Shuvah, Mitchazkot, those who are starting fresh and beginning. And it never ceases to give me joy when I say something and the girl says, "Really? Wow, that's amazing." If we learn something new, a halacha that they never heard, an idea that they never heard, and they'll say like, "Whoa, that's amazing," which, by the way, I sometimes say, "You mean everything I said up until now wasn't amazing?" But that's just to break the tension, because usually those girls are in like orot, they're in they're like belrot, they're so excited. But the idea is that when a person feels the brand newness of a new idea, or of a new halacha, or of a new way of mehadering Hashem, a new way of making hidur mitzvah, any of those new things, we're supposed to try to find newness every single day in the Torah, and certainly newness every single Shabbos. Listen, there are people who every single Shabbos the husband buys the wife flowers, or the wife buys the household flowers, or there's a new food on the table, or there's new clothes, right? We try to make Shabbos chadash. That's why also when there's a couple that's married and she's not pregnant, so she has to go to the mikveh 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and that 2 weeks on becomes much more special because of the 2 weeks off. And so everything that's chadash, everything that's brand new, has a certain level of goodness to it. Of course, something that's good, that's brand new. And the Torah is supposed to be brand new every single day. That's why we say every single morning, Birkas HaTorah, the blessings of the Torah. And that's why this was a thought that came to me. I didn't see this really in any sefer, but when you say the bracha on the Torah, right? Asher kishan mitzvah mitzvah lasok v'divrei Torah or al divrei Torah. Every morning we have to say that. Women have to say that also. So then afterwards, which part of the Torah do we quote? We quote the blessings. Yivarecha Hashem yishmerecha. Right? The blessings that the Kohanim, say those words, and through those words, Hashem blesses the Jewish people that God should bless you and watch over you and keep you and shine His countenance on you and all of that. So maybe perhaps one of the reasons that we say that quotation from the Torah instead of something else is because that quotation, the blessings that we say to each other and we ask Hashem to bless us, is very vital to us. We want that bracha every single morning. We want to be blessed. We want our families to be blessed. We want our friends to be blessed. We want our business to be blessed. We want everything to be blessed. So that on a certain level, that reminds us every single day, lechadesh, to think brand new, or to think again, and to thank again for the Torah. וצריך להבין דהרי ביום זה לא היה קבלת התורה. Okay, this is from before. Okay, so that's the same idea. That there wasn't. That's the parsha. The pasuk says in this week's parsha, on that day they came, so that every single day we should try our best. Now, it's not easy at all because we're so busy. Even though we have so many conveniences, we don't have to milk the cow and churn the butter and break the bread and go to the lake and wash the clothes. We don't have to do any of that stuff. So what are we so busy with? But somehow we're very busy. And this idea of every single day having a chidush is written again and again in Torah, right? We say, "Asher nochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha," that the mitzvah should be as if I command them to you, right? So, and there's another pasuk that he brings down. But anyway, the idea is that we should have every single Shabbos a desire for Shabbos, and we should try to work on that, and we should try to be excited about that, and we should try to remember that Shabbos, if we're open to the newness of Shabbos, then Shabbos will bestow upon us something new, something brand new. Little kids are always excited for Shabbos for many different reasons. First of all, they don't have to go to school. Second of all, they get Shabbos treats, and we have to learn from little kids. So yes, give ourselves Shabbos treats. That's when we dress in nicer clothing. We wear our Shabbos clothes, our Shabbos shoes, our Shabbos sheitel, our Shabbos mitpacha, whatever you wear that's special for Shabbos. And you should also have food special that you only eat for Shabbos, right? We know that. Everybody's supposed to have food that they only eat on Shabbos. There are some people who will not touch a piece of kugel during the week, even if it's leftovers. They won't touch it because it's only Shabbos food. We used to eat cholent Sunday morning, Sunday lunch. That was cholent by us when I was a little kid. And every time we would, or Sunday night, and every time we would eat it, my father would always say the same thing. It's not the same as on Shabbos. And it wasn't. It was never the same. And it was good. It was tasty, but it was totally not the same as on Shabbos because every single week the cholent comes out different and the soup comes out different and everything, even if you're using the same recipe again and again, it doesn't come out the same. Everything has to be chadash on Shabbos. And we have to also, on Shabbos, let go of the worries of the week. You have to let go. You know that there's a certain prayer that you can say before Shabbos. I have it in one of my sidurim that says, Hashem, please help me. I don't want to think about worrying on Shabbos. I don't want to think sad thoughts. I don't want to speak something negative. I only want to think positive and be besimcha and be upbeat and not at all connected to anything of the worrying world, of this world. My father and my mother both passed away on Shabbos. It was a big schus for them. My brother passed away on Shabbos. And I remember when my father, I sure will have a good Gan Eden, amen. When my father, what happened? It was Shabbos, Pesach, Chol Moed. His yahrzeit is Yud Zayin in Nisan. My mother's yahrzeit is Yud in Nisan. So my brother's yahrzeit is Kav Ches in Adar. That time of the year, if Mashiach Chas Hashem, if Olam Haba isn't here by then, Mashiach is for sure going to be here by then. But if Tchias HaMesim isn't finished by then, when I'm 120, that time of the year, those weeks, I have to pay attention because that's all so my father, he had a heart attack in shul. It was Shabbos, Chol Hamoed Pesach, in shul. He had a heart attack. And we rushed him to the hospital. Both my parents were privileged to live their last days here and to be buried here. And we went to the hospital. I was very close to my father, probably of more anybody in the whole world. And in the hospital, he didn't have the ability to speak anymore. He lost his strength, and he died right before Shabbos, right by mincha time. When we took him to the hospital, he was like struggling to speak, and that was the last time he had a heart attack. The first time he had a heart attack was also on Shabbos years before. So I remember the first time he had that heart attack, and I was in America. I ran to visit him, and so he said his biggest regret. I thought he was going to say his biggest regret was not taking better care of himself physically. He said his biggest regret was he fashter the Shabbos because they had to put him in an ambulance and take him to the hospital on Shabbos in America. This time it was in Israel, and he was struggling to speak. And I said, "Daddy, do you feel bad that it's Shabbos?" And he said, "Yes." He started crying. "Yes, it's Shabbos." He doesn't want to fashter the Shabbos. He didn't realize that to leave this world on Shabbos is a very, very high and holy thing. I didn't know that either until the Chevra Kadisha told me. So on Shabbos, we're not supposed to think about sad things. We're not supposed to experience bad things and sad things and nothing. It's supposed to be positive and uplifting and upbeat and all of that. And it says that the Shabbos is the Jewish people kept when we came to Har Sinai, when we came to Midbar Sinai. It says we were so excited. Why does it say on that day we came to Midbar Sinai? Because we were so excited because we had been gouged out of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. When we were in Egypt, we were in such a secular society, a secular environment, tumah, impurity surrounding us, and the desires for gashmias, for materialism, was pervasive. When we finally got out, it was like a relief. We were so relieved that we were not surrounded by that tumah anymore. Now, we had not yet received the Torah. We had not yet received the Ten Commandments, but we were still in that interim state. We were so relieved, the Rebbe here says, that we were so relieved that we were out of Klipat Mitzrayim, which was the Shukot and Ta'avot Ra'ot, which was the desires of this world that were not good. We were so far away from that whole world. And it's like when you walked out of a fog and you see clearly. We walked out of that fog that we had been in, that's all that we knew. And we saw this for the first time, we saw clearly a clear sky, a holy world. And our cheshek, our desire to receive the Torah, was so intense. With that desire to be holy, that's when we enter into Midbar Sinai. And that's why Rashi says, try to experience that as often as you can. The leaving of the negative and the entering into the positive. Now listen, here in Eretz Israel, we have many opportunities to do that. I'll tell you how, simple ways. Go to the kotel, you're entering into Shabbos, even if it's Wednesday. Leaving the kotel, you have that cheshek, you're like, oh, okay, you have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to go home, but when you leave the kotel, that's why we walk backwards. We don't turn our back on the kotel. We say, I wish I didn't have to leave, but the bus is coming, I have to go. We don't want to go. When you enter into holiness, then when you leave it temporarily, you feel that cheshek to want to come back again. That's why Shabbos, Moshe Shabbos, we have to smell besamim, we have to smell fragrant spices because our neshama yetera is leaving. It feels bad. We don't want to have to plunge back into the 6 days of the week. We make Havdalah because we have to make a ceremony to say, yes, Hashem wants you now to go into the 6 days of the week. But you know why Hashem wants us to go into the 6 days of the week? Because He wants us to have a chiddush on Shabbos. He wants us to renew our covenant with Him, our contract with Him, our love for Him on Shabbos. He wants to renew it. And He knows, Hashem, who's the Creator, knows that you can only renew something if you don't have it. You have to renew it. Now, the Rebbe says like this. When it says they entered into me by Sinai, where did they leave? So he says, how do you do this? How do you come? How can you come to this desire for holiness? Okay, so we have it naturally Motzei Shabbos, Saturday night. And by the way, that's why Saturday night, Rabbi Nachman teaches that everybody, the whole world actually is on Spielkas. Did you ever notice parties on Saturday night? Even though you've eaten the whole Shabbos, you have to go to pizza, you have to go into town. And here, Baruch Hashem, town is closed basically. But Motzei Shabbos, everyone's like on the edge. Why? Because first of all, the Neshama Yetera left. They want to have it again. But also, Rabbi Nachman says that Motzei Shabbos is the first time that Mashiach can come that week, because Mashiach is not going to, I don't want to say he's not going to come on Shabbos, because maybe we're in an emergency situation. He could come on Shabbos. Or Hashem could activate his soul on Shabbos, and we'll all feel that activation in our own souls. But whatever it is, Motzei Shabbos, for sure he can come. The first second of the week, Mashiach can come on the loudspeakers and on the Ramkolim and on the internet and on all that. He can announce himself. So how do you wake up that desire? It doesn't just come from when you leave something holy, but it also comes from there. This is going to sound hard. Might be hard, but we'll listen to it anyway. It says, "Vayisu mirifidim." They left refidim. What does refidim mean? It means laziness. It means laziness. So the Rebbe here says something interesting. He says that in order to find that feeling and that inspiration and that one second, just want to find the pasuk. In order to find that, I read the pasuk wrong. Vayisu kol adapnei Yisrael mividu asin l'mas'ehim al pi Hashem vayachanu b'refidim. They went to Refidim, and then later on they left Refidim. And after they left Refidim, Amalek came. So the Rebbe here says like this: the word Refidim means laziness. Ripu yadayim, it means your hands are like tired, right? You need a refuah, you need a healing, you need strengthening. So it's one of those words, Reish Pei Aleph, is one of those roots, really it's Reish Pei, that means itself and its opposite. It means healing, and it means weakness, and it means healing from the weakness. So the Rebbe here says, in order to wake up this desire for his chashus, you have to push yourself. You can't be lazy. You have to push yourself. Now I'm going to tell you a secret. The secret is, it's not a secret, it's just a tactic. Whenever you feel tired, and you know you shouldn't be tired, there's no reason for you to be tired. You're just, bored or lazy or unmotivated. Get up and do anything. Listen, it's before Pesach now. Go and rearrange your silverware drawer. It's not going to be Pesach yet, but do any physical activity, anything. It's not necessarily a spiritual one. Any physical activity to break that cycle or that mode that you're in right now of weakness, sadness, unmotivation, whatever. Go take out the garbage. Put on your shoes. Put on lipstick. Change your tichel. Do something to break that refidim. Because that's how, when you break the refidim, you see, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. A mitzvah brings another mitzvah. And then you'll do something else until you pull yourself out of that slump and you can get something brand new that happens to you. 1 second, I have to plug in my phone. And it looks like it's going to tell me that it needs plugging in. 1 second. Okay. I'm going to tell you that I've experienced this, and my students have told me also. When do I experience the letting go of the 6 days of the week and the entering into Shabbos? Everyone experiences at different times in different ways. Some people by candlelighting. I experienced that by turning off my phone. When I put down my phone for Shabbos, I put it away. And by the way, you might want to keep your phone on over Shabbos to hear if there's going to be an announcement of air sirens. The last two Shabboses, we've had the radio, the quiet radio on. So you can either put, if anybody has a radio, or if you can leave your phone on, so that in case there's something you have to hear about, you'll hear about it. But in general, when I let go of the phone, I let go of the week. And it's so, to me, it's so annoyingly revealing how weekday the phone is. Even though right now I'm using the phone for something holy, and I use it for mostly holy things. But every once in a while, you waste a little time on the phone, and you look at Instagram. You know how I got Instagram? Instagram is one of those things where people put up pictures and all kinds of videos, and my Instagram, Baruch Hashem, is kosher. The worst thing that happens on my Instagram is that they send me advertisements to buy clothing or to buy health food stuff. How do they know that? I don't know, but they know that kind of stuff. But how did I get Instagram? One of my cousins got engaged, and her daughter got engaged, and she sent me a link to see the pictures from the engagement. And it was this thing called Instagram. I never heard of it before. I said, "Well, I can't open it. It tells me I have to download the hell app. What does that mean?" And she explained to me, "Oh yeah, she put all the photos on Instagram." So I said, "Okay, what do I do?" And I looked at Instagram, and that's how I got into Instagram. But we waste time on our phone, and for me, that's like a very big eye opener. So whatever it is that you do that brings Shabbos, that like pushes the week away, you put the blech on. That means no more cooking. I don't know, whatever it is that people do. You bench licht. I don't wait till benching licht. I do it earlier. Or you bench licht earlier. That's a very good thing to do, by the way, to bench licht earlier. You can bench licht, you can light Shabbos candles by the plug. By plug Amincha, you could look that up every week as a calendar. It's usually in Yerushalayim HaKodesh about half an hour, 40 minutes before the regular candle lighting. And that candle lighting is 40 minutes before sunset. It's good to make your transition from the week to Shabbos and feel the newness of it. That's what the Rebbe here is saying. And one thing he says at the very, very end of this, he says, and this is also perhaps a little bit hard. They said that in Corona, there was more divorces per, I don't know, day, week, month, whatever, during that time when people were in lockdown. After that, they had a lot of divorces in the world because people were not used to being with each other. You go to work, you go to work. They were in the house with each other all the time. And they didn't get along. And so as soon as the gates opened, they could leave the house. They all ran to court and got divorced. So the Rebbe here says it's very, very, very important in order to feel the hitchadshut of Shabbos. So stay far, far, far away from machlokas, from arguing, from judging, from speaking negatively, from lo tachmon, not looking at somebody else's outfit, not looking at somebody else's kids, not looking at somebody else's speeches. Stay far away from lo tachmon. They say that the Vilna Gaon told his wife not to come to shul on Shabbos because he was afraid of the women having lo tachmod, that no one should be jealous of her, that she's the wife of the Vilna Gaon, and she shouldn't be jealous of the other ladies, that they have this article of clothing or that article of clothing or whatever. He said, stop and stay at home. Just you shouldn't have that test of stirring the Shabbos, of breaking the spirit and the feeling of the beauty of Shabbos. And so you have to stay very, very far away from anything that might in any way lower your happiness levels, your feelings of minucha, of calmness. You have to try to feel calm on Shabbos. It doesn't say Simchas Shabbos. It says Simchas Yantif. On Yantif, we're supposed to be happy. On Shabbos, we're supposed to be calm. On Shabbat, my Sephardic friends make fun of me that I say Shabbos. On Shabbat, he's supposed to be calm, menucha, calm, in control, clear-headed, grounded. and with a big open heart to long for something that's meaningful and that's holy. So that's a little bit of Shabbos. We also know that I forgot who it was that said this. Maybe it was the Mishnah Brewer, maybe it was the Chavetz Chaim said it, maybe someone even before, that you're supposed to be always learning Hilchos Shabbos. Shabbos is complicated. The laws of Shabbos are complicated. Just like the laws of anything that's worthwhile. Brain surgery is complicated. Heart surgery is complicated. Computer programming is complicated. Coding is complicated. Anything that's meaningful is complicated. The laws of Shabbos are complicated. And you have to learn them. Try to have by your Shabbos table the laws of Shabbos. Now we have all these English books. You can learn the laws of Shabbos 3 minutes a day. You can learn the Hebrew, the English, or whatever. Try to learn the laws of Shabbos. If you're a beginner, don't get overwhelmed. Do the best you can. If you're an old-timer, there are a lot of things that you might not even know. So we're always learning the laws of Shabbos. And we know that if all the Jewish people would keep Shabbos, the Mashiach would come. And we always like it when Shabbos and Yom Kippur come out the same day because most of the people in the world keep Yom Kippur, the Jews. So we hope that will bring happiness to Hashem and peace and peace to the Jewish people. Bezrat Hashem. So let's hope that Mashiach comes by next week. In other words, next week's shir, Gitzi will let you know where it will be. If it's going to be in the old city, if it's going to be in the shul someplace, if it's going to be in the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. Gitzi's in charge of telling everybody. I see she's on the phone right now. She's so busy letting everybody know. So, Bezrat Hashem. It should be good. Hi, Marcel. It's good to see you. Hi, Yehudis. Hi, Rebbe Rachel. Hi, Davida. Hi, Shani. Hi, Rebbe Rachel's friend and neighbor and helper. Okay. Have a good Shabbos, everybody. Have a good Shabbos, everybody, on YouTube.
Thank you.
Australia. I was waiting for you to say that you're from Australia, Sharon. See? And finally, the what's it called? The note just came up, so I don't know when. Australia, it's nighttime, and here it's daytime. We have a beautiful, beautiful day in Yerushalayim Kodesh. Beautiful. Not too hot, not too cold. Sun, blue sky. A few little clouds. Baruch Hashem.
Did you see the Shkedia?
I didn't look, actually. I wasn't on the sheet.
The Shkedia, there was one branch, there was only one little branch of one tree before Tu B'Shvat, and now on Tu B'Shvat, amazing. One tree is really, really full of blessings.
Yeah.
Go see.
Where is
Get
it?
nafas. Very hard off.
Where in her?
Okay.
On the way up? On Nisim?
On Rosenfeld.
Rosenfeld. Good. Okay. Now look.
Good to know.
What?
Robertson, I missed the start of the share. When is it your birthday? Is it today?
No, it's Shabbos.
Oh, Shabbos.
Tomorrow in English and Shabbos in Hebrew.
And
it's
so
funny
we'll
because
celebrate tomorrow.
But I gave everybody a bracha, so you listen to the shir, the beginning of it, and you'll get the bracha. I have so many students who have the same birthday as me. It's never happened before. But I have so many students in English. They're all excited because whatever. Okay. Anyway. And don't you come over here, Gitzi. I don't want to see you in my house. No, I don't want. Okay.
You should be convinced like you've been shot.
Amen. We should all be gebenched. We should all be gebenched.
Together.
Bezrat Hashem. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.